Recently I had an idea for a simple multiplier game. I thought I would create it with continuous delivery, acceptance test, TDD, and CI, and all the good stuff. I don't want it to be too complex, so something really simple like maybe a 2D platformer game. Maybe I could finish it really quickly, and creating something like this with CD in mind sounds like fun. I don't know yet what the stack would be for such a game. Actually, I'm not even sure whether that would be a web app or a desktop app. I guess both have their pros and cons. So I guess I'll prototype the game in Python and see where it leads us. I think I'll start with version control. And given that it's a JetBrains IDE, I'll add the JetBrains project config to the gitignore. So what the prototype should be, I guess the simplest way to start would be to install a Pygame. That's a very simple Python game library. I'll go ahead and find some very basic Pygame example. I managed to put my hands on a very basic Pygame game. So let's see it. It's the arrows. It's the arrows. It's very basic and simple, and that's exactly what I was hoping for. I didn't want anything too complex for now, but I'm not all that interested in the way the game runs. I'm much more interested in finding my way around this game. I guess this is the way all Pygame games are written. So we have some initial configs, we initialize some static state, then we declare global variables, which are hideous as hell. Then we have Pygame logic mixed with the game logic. Then we run everything in a loop. We pull the Pygame or the window for the exit signal. We pull the input, which are the keys. From the Pygame, we apply the game, I guess, code. We perform some very basic render, and then we wait. Or maybe it updates variable date time, or maybe it just waits. Now, because Pygame sits in front of everything here, it doesn't look very decoupled to me. So I guess the first step would be to try and run this game in a much more controlled environment. Something like a test bed, something automatic, so that we can fake the inputs and then gather outputs, which is the view. Actually, we don't need the inputs now. We can just render a single frame and gather that as output. If this was a web app, we could use something like a Selenium or Cypress or Playwright. There's a bunch of different tools we could use, but I don't know anything like that for games. So I think the simplest and the best thing for me to do right now would be something like visual regression. Basically capture a screenshot of a particular frame and then compare it to some predefined frame. Something like approval test, but for pictures. I can imagine that it will probably break if there's some noise in the graphics, but I'm happy to deal with that later. So I guess the acceptance test is a good place to start. So let's save that as the initial prototype. And I'll try to run the game in test. So I'm wondering what minimal code I could write to run the game in the test. So I guess the easiest way would be to hide the global variables in a function. These constants bother me because they're being used in a class here. So I'll just keep them for later. I guess we don't need the loop in test yet. And because of that, we don't need this clock here. And we don't need to pull the system exit. I'm interested in if the game is going to run in. Oh, and it's flickered, so I guess it did run. So now I think I need to capture the screen somehow. Is it really that simple? I guess maybe it is. But what's the window? It's the screen. So I guess we can return it for now. I know that's ugly as hell. And it did actually get a screenshot. So that's awesome. So that's going to be my expected screenshot. And I'm gonna take the actual now. That needs to be in the version control. If I run it again, now it should create the actual one. So I get the only thing that is left now would be to just compare the images and verify that they're the same. This one uses OpenCV. I don't want to do that. I'm hoping there's a Pythonic way to do it without the library. Actually, now that I think about it, I wonder if the binaries of these images are actually the same. And their size is the same. Maybe I don't need to do image comparison. Maybe I can just do binary comparison. Because if their binaries are the same, then we're home. And it would appear that they are. So I can just load the images and compare them. Like so. I wonder whether that be enough. Oh, it tries to read it as strings or Unicode probably. Huh. That's right. Great, so it passed, and now I wonder if I change something about it. Right, let's change the platform height. And now it failed, it detected it. So now if I try to compare and the previous one with the actual one, you can't really see it, but the ID says that they're no longer equal. Maybe if I make it way bigger, it will be more visible. So the size of the bottom platform is higher. So that works great. A couple things to clean up. I'll restore the original height, so the test pass. Oh, but they're no longer equal. I think it was 50. Yeah. It's reassuring that if I run it, it passes. How is it named? Let's call it acceptance test for now. Now, the thing that's most important to me with that acceptance test is the fact that I can actually refactor this game to my heart's content, and if I break it, the test will fail. For example, I think I can change this decimal RGB to a hex RGB. Let me just convert it. And if I don't break it, the test I bet will still work, because I actually didn't change anything, I just changed the form. I'm pretty certain that if this was an integration test and I had used some mocks or verify, that would probably not pass. I mean, if these tuples happen to compare equal, then maybe they would, but I wouldn't count on it. However, I know that my screenshot test will catch it. If I change these digits even slightly, I would expect them to fail, and actually they do. So I'm pretty happy with this acceptance test I have here. So what do you think the next step should be? Probably to develop some behavior for the app. so that we could actually use the acceptance test to drive the creation of the game. Maybe one state for walking, one for jumping, one for being idle. I could probably pass some arguments here to determine the state of the game, but that would never get me closer to developing this game, because a real player would never do that. So I would have to pass in the input using the natural interface of the game. And in our case, that would be either the user interface of the game, so the keys, or the network input if we're playing online. So that would have to be something like maybe jump or go up or whatever. But in order to do that, I would have to first fake the input into the game. So I think I'll do that next time. I think I'll wrap this video up now. I'm very interested in what you have to say about this approach. I think I managed to illustrate how I would develop this game, and I'll see you next time.